Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, social marketers around the world. My name is Patrick Cook, and as the president of the International Social Marketing Association, it's both my privilege and pleasure to introduce you to the 34th in a series of webinars that we do to advance the social marketing practice, research, and teaching. I'm here today with Jay Kassir and Catherine Sadler, as well as Joyce Tamale. Catherine helped organize today's webinar, and she'll be moderating, and Joyce will be presenting. We'll just begin in a few minutes, but before we do, I wanted to give you a couple of notes from the association so you can be watching out for things coming up. First of all, we are, as the International Social Marketing Association, continuing to work to develop more member benefits for members of the ISMA as well as our regional associations or member associations. So we are looking at different options with peer-reviewed journals and for the conferences coming up, which includes the World Social Marketing Conference in Edinburgh coming up in June. So look for registration information on how to get register for a discount. We also have our annual general meeting, which is coming up in the March timeframe of 2019. So it's an opportunity for you as a member of the International Social Marketing Association to weigh in on what we are doing and what we will be doing going forward. So I'm going to pass this over to Jay. Jay?
Thank you, Patrick, and welcome everyone. I do want to remind you that if there's more than one of you at your location, we'd appreciate if you would let us know how many there are using the chat box. So if you've got more than yourself, please let us know, 2 or more people, how many you are. Also, please ask questions using the chat box as they come to you. Don't wait till the end of the talk. We'll answer your questions at the end in roughly the same order that they come in. So first of all, if you wouldn't mind, let's see where people are coming from today. If you'd please fill this out. And pretty well everyone's from North America on this call. Okay. And then how you heard about the webinar. And it was from our website and email. Got one more person, I think. There they go. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And so then I think we're ready. If you would, Catherine, introduce today's speaker.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, Jay. I'm happy to introduce Joyce Tamale as the featured presenter for today's webinar. Joyce is a fellow of the Global Professional Accountancy Body, ACCA, in the UK, a chartered public accountant in Uganda, a social marketer, and a woman activist with over 18 years' experience working in the NGO sector. She's experienced financial analyst and an organizational development specialist. Joyce is committed to changing lives of people through social enterprises that touch lives. Joyce is the managing director of the Uganda Health Marketing Group, a leading social marketing organization with NGO status that has established a sustainable social enterprise. 1 minute remaining. Prior to being the MD, she served for 5 years as the Director of Finance and Investment and laid the foundation for a sustainable organization. Prior to UHMG, Joyce worked with EASSI, Save the Children, and PwC. Joyce serves on a number of board of directors. She's currently the chairperson for the Forum for Women in Democracy, a board member with HUMENTUM, the chairperson for the Institute for Social Transformation, and founded the Luzira Alliance SACO, which is over 3,000 members. She previously chaired the ACCA Uganda Members Network panel between 2013 and 2015 Joyce is married and a mother of 3 awesome sons. She loves meeting new people and has a very positive outlook on life.
And your call has been terminated. Please load airtime.
And I tell you what, it really does show when she talks about, she believes in what she's talking about. Today's webinar has been pre-recorded so that we can have a clear audio presentation, because sometimes our audio link from Africa has been a bit muddy. So I'm going to turn this back over to the recorded version, but Joyce is with us, and she will be available to answer questions. Should you have any, please feel free to type them in your chat box. Patrick?
And if you hear a little bit of noise coming in and out, that's because Joyce is having trouble staying on the line. She's doing her best to be with us.
Hello, social marketers. My name's Joyce Tamale, Managing Director, Uganda Health Marketing Group. Today's webinar, we are going to share with you how condom use and uptake in Uganda increased when we ran a campaign, "If it's not on, it's not safe." UHMG is a local organization which serves the people of Uganda to deliver a good life. This is done through provision of superior and affordable healthcare solutions. UHMG serves the Uganda population by designing social behavior change communications, and in this case we are going to share with you the campaign that promoted condom use amongst the young people in the rural areas and the urban areas. UHMG also warehouses and supplies condoms and family planning commodities across the country. We use social marketing techniques to deliver services and products to the people of Uganda. We also run a network of Good Life clinics for service delivery. Uganda's health landscape stands at 40 million people by 2018, with a high population growth rate at 3%. Uganda also has a high total fertility rate, currently at 5.2%, with a youthful population whereby 78% of Ugandans are below 30 years and 50% of Ugandans are below 15 years of age. The HIV prevalence is 7.3% and at 4.8% among the young people. The campaign that we ran, "If it's not on, it's not safe," was very, very important. However, we also conducted a baseline study in 2012 where we assessed the number of young people who are accessing condoms in the last encounter. It had 29.4% female and 34.7% were male. We also noted that the unmet need for family planning was at 28% amongst the married women. The unmet need among the young people, 15 to 19 years, 52%, and 20 to 24 years, 37%. Teenage pregnancies are still high at 25%, whereby young people between 15 to 18 years, one is either pregnant or a mother. The contraceptive prevalence rate is at 39%, and we aim to reach 50% by 2020. The campaign that we ran was conducted in 8 districts, and the whole aim was to promote a condom use as a dual protection amongst the young people. Dual protection, we're looking at the unintended pregnancies, HIV and AIDS, and STIs. The intervention used a multifaceted approach above the line and below the line. We used interactive media, mass media, of television and radios. We used and reached the young people through edutainment. A song was composed using a very popular young musician to be able to appeal to the young people. Interpersonal communication through community dialogues, reaching out to the young people through their peers, was highly commended. We also used the outdoor build and branding. A lot of social media, because of the bulging youthful population, was highly utilized. We noted that Facebook was a very popular social media campaign, as well as SMS messages. Condom distribution and experiential activations to increase accessibility was highly used. We worked through a network of drug shops, hotels, to be able to reach a number of people and increase accessibility. The key outputs of this campaign included, we were able to reach 338 peer educators. The campaign song was highly distributed. 4,073 DVDs were distributed. 73,133 youth were reached through interpersonal communication. We distributed 31,472 female condoms and 350,000 male condoms. Over 5 million people were reached through mass media. In terms of evaluating the campaign, we definitely went to the 8 districts. This helped us to determine the impact, the reach, and the effectiveness of the 360-degree campaign. We also used non-experiential study design, reaching out to the communities, speaking to the people on how the impact reached to them. The outcome indicators that we used were on the baseline and also after the campaign. We reached over 1,050 people during the evaluation. And so the results out of this campaign were very positive. Over 70.5% of the people used the condom with a non-regular partner at the last sexual encounter. And 83% of the people used the condom consistently with a non-regular partner. Condom use for family planning increased in urban areas from 35% to 42%. Most effective social behavior change communication approaches were interpersonal communication through the peers and edutainment through the song. The most effective way condom promotion is through collaborations and partnerships. We used a total market approach to scale up condom use and uptake. We collaborated with the Ministry of Health for the free condoms that was taken to the rural areas. We also partnered with a number of development partners and social marketing organizations to scale up uptake of condoms that were socially marketed or subsidized. We also partnered with the commercial distributors or importers who had branded condoms and were sold in non-traditional areas. We used the 4 marketing principles to promote the condom uptake, to destigmatize condom use amongst the young people. The branded condoms were fully available at the rightful cost, and they were promoted through a number of messages. The socially marketed condoms were also well branded, but subsidized and positioned to the targeted populations. The free condoms were put in different places, including hospitals, and also youth-friendly corners. UHMG plays a key role in the total market approach, implementing the alternative distribution mechanism, which complements the public sector condom distribution mechanism. We also work with a number of private sector distributors to bring out the condoms to the communities for easy accessibility. A condom market segmentation study was conducted in May 2018 in conjunction with Palladium to scale up and segment the market where condoms could be easily accessed, marketed, and promoted. We also worked with the Ministry of Health to roll out the condom logistics management information system to increase data management for condoms. Going forward, it is very critical that we scale up the campaign on condom use to destigmatize amongst the young people the condom use. It's also critical to deepen condom use as a family planning method. Very important to increase female condom demand generation so that women within the workplaces and in their homes are able to make a choice for condom use. Utilize total market approach in condom promotion is very critical. One of the beneficiaries mentioned this. It's a campaign that should be pushed forward because it is a constant reminder to us to use condoms. Many were getting complacent. Remember, if it's not on, it's not safe. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce, and I hope you're available on the line at this moment. I am pulling up our...
Yes, I am, Kathleen.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, and please feel free to type your questions in our chat box. I'm going to go ahead with a few questions that we have right now, and I'm sorry, Nancy, I don't know what song we're talking about, but I could have been an inside joke, I just don't know. But at any rate, some of our questions were pretty interesting. So we've talked about the present day in your condom marketing. What do you anticipate the future of condom marketing looking like? Joyce?
Hello, Kathleen. Looking at the future of the condom market, actually we need to address the millennial demands and needs. This will call for different interventions in the way condoms are marketed. Basically, the advertising methods that we use to promote these condoms will be totally different because the millennials think differently, and so the traditional channels of condom distribution will definitely have to change.
So, in other words,
also the geopolitical environment.
Okay, so what you're saying is that we'd like to, hello, what we're saying is that it would be better to have it as a prevention measure and just part of your common knowledge, type of brushing your teeth type of thing, rather than a, oh, I ought to do this.
Yes, the way the condoms are advertised or the way they are positioned and must change in the future.
Okay, great. Okay, question from Nedra. Was there anything you found either in the formative research or during the campaign that surprised you?
Maybe repeat that, Kathleen.
I said, was there anything you found either in the formative research or during the campaign that surprised you?
Of course, yes. The way the young people responded towards the campaign, especially in the rural areas, there was a lot of surprise regarding the female condom uptake and the female condom itself. So there was a lot of surprise, and so we had to do a lot more than we had anticipated.
So I have another question from Kelly. You mentioned social and behavioral change communication. How, if at all, does that differ from social marketing?
The social behavior change communication would basically have focused on ensuring that people have the right knowledge, the right information that will be able to change their behavior. But with social marketing, we combined the commercial marketing principles, using promotion, using pricing, to be able to position condoms as a commodity to the people.
Okay. I think another one would be, how is it, sorry, my questions are flipping around. I have another one, is how easy is it for youth to access condoms now? Was it harder before the campaign, or was it just knowledge of access?
Of course, the campaign ran, and with time information figures out, but also with the economic environment, there's always a challenge for the young people to access condoms. In the current situation, we realize that the young people
Uh-oh, Joyce, are you there?
She has disconnected. One moment.
Okay, thank you. I find this to be a very clean campaign, that she was able to get good baseline data and able to link her results to the baseline data, and was specific enough to get good results. And I am interested to see if the government has gotten on board with it, which was the next question.
Yes, and as we'll
So
see,
Catherine, just so you know, go ahead, Jay.
she also does include information on groups that did not get exposed to the campaign, as well as groups that were
She does.
So there is a bit of a control, if you like. Sorry, Patrick, what
Right.
were you going to say?
I was just going to mention we're trying to get Joyce back on. She knows that she's lost the connection. In the meantime, I'm texting out to everyone, and particularly for Nancy's benefit, the link to the campaign song.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And Joyce is rejoining.
Hey, Joyce, are you back with us?
I have the day.
Okay, I have a question about government. I'm not going to say intervention, that's the wrong word, but government involvement, that's the right way to put it. Prior to the campaign, was there government involvement? And during the campaign, did the government give you support for the condom uptake?
I would say on a large extent, the government was very supportive from a policy level. However, the biggest challenge that government faced was lack of allocation of a budget to support accessibility and availability of condoms to the end mile. That we have struggled, and it's not yet about to improve.
Okay, let me see if we have any other questions that have come through. Okay, we have the song now in our chat box. The song has been uploaded from YouTube, and I am looking to see if we have any other questions on our list, and I don't see anything. From the questions we asked, Joyce, did you come up with anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, just mention that this campaign was very effective, especially to bring down the young people to understand and appreciate a condom as a dual protection. Very important is that there are lessons that were picked, others can pick from, especially the social marketers across the world. Using interpersonal communication, peer-to-peer conversations are very critical, and the use of social media is very important for the young people to avoid being complacent.
I do find that your results are amazing. To have that big of a change in condom use among youth, and actually just the education and knowledge change is wonderful. I do have a question. How did you determine who had been exposed to the campaign and who had not? How did you determine who your control group was, in other words?
Because the campaign was conducted in 8 districts, which were carefully selected, we used non-conventional methods to evaluate the campaign. Basically, using qualitative analysis, we used the same peer educators to evaluate the impact that the campaign had on people who changed to use condoms regularly and consistently. So that was the best way we were able to determine who was exposed and who was not.
So were your districts in different parts of Uganda, or were they grouped together?
They were basically from the eastern and northern Uganda.
Okay. Now, I know that we get some bleed over between communities or counties or parishes, depending on where you are, but I see how you could have determined that others had not been exposed from other parts, as you said, like the western part of Uganda. Neat. All right. If we have no other questions, I am going to slide this back to Jay.
Thank you very much. And thank you for a great summary of what you're doing in Uganda, which I hope will be of value to people around the world working in this area. I'd like to thank the participants in today's webinar as well. As you leave the webinar, you will be offered the opportunity to fill out a short evaluation form, and we depend on your answers when developing our upcoming webinar. So even if you've done it before, just a word or two just to say, well, maybe 4 or 5, to say, you know, what worked this time or what didn't work for you. Also like to remind you, get the next slide up here. There we go, upcoming events in Australia. We have the Spark Social Marketing Conference in Seattle on the West Coast, the 10th to 11th of December. And then right after that, in Birmingham, UK, the UKSBM 14th Annual Scientific Meeting on Biology, Behavior, and Environment. And of course, we will have another webinar coming up excuse me, at the end of January, and we're just still waiting to hear from the European Social Marketing Association, which is sponsoring it, who the speaker is going to be. And so as soon as we get that information, we will announce it and open up registration, and hope to see you there as well. That one. I think that's it. Okay, back to you, Patrick.
You're right. Thanks, Jay, and thank you, everyone. Jay and Catherine and Joyce and our Ready Talk colleagues, thank you very much for making it all work today. For those of you who were able to join us this morning in Eastern Standard Time this morning, there were some technical challenges and we tried to find a way through it, and I think we were successful. But Joyce, also, again, thank you for your presentation. It was really great to hear what you and the team are doing in Uganda, and particularly it's helpful to hear from you and the team because of your work with the Africa Social Marketing Association and getting that up and running. And again, to echo Jay's sentiments, thank you for all of you, the members and participants in today's webinar. As Jay mentioned, we're doing another one coming up in 6 or 8 weeks, and hope you will join us for that. Until then, keep visiting the website. Make sure you check out the e-newsletter that's coming out shortly, and we hope you will join us again for the next webinar. This is the International Social Marketing Association, and we're now concluding today's webinar.